we all think Coqnet will become the soul and cultural epicenter of the Avalanche network. Not just the C chain, but of every single subnet that launches. Because Coqnet will be able to interoperate with all of them and become a fundamental building block.
You're listening to the 2.6 podcast with Luke and Adrian. On this show, we celebrate the Web3 community, discuss the latest in blockchain-based projects, and help each other live our best lives. We're glad you're here, so let's get started. What's up, friends? Welcome to the 2.6 podcast with Luke and Adrian. Today, we have a very special guest with us. We have Stephen Gates from GoGoPool. Stephen, welcome to the show, man. Glad to have you.
Thank you. Welcome to me, I suppose, but thanks for having me.
Yeah, great. Absolutely. Been
still recovering from the phenomenal Coqsensus, do you?
Actually, I just recovered on Friday, I think. So we're doing a humongous sprint right now, but I actually wasn't sick leaving Coqsensus. And then, because I was like on Saturday morning we left, and then Monday I was fine. Tuesday I got sick. Then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday I was recovering from this like stupid head cold sort of thing. I had to suffer through like, I don't know, probably like 20 calls. And I was just trying to hang on.
Yeah.
Dude,
that's rough. We must have got the same thing. So I was very similar to what you just said. So I got feeling a little bit ill on Monday. Then Tuesday it hit me hard. I had 2 final exams that I had to do while I was like deathly ill. And then now I'm feeling a lot better. So we must have
sweated it out, dude. I was sweating so much it just came out. It went in, it came out right away.
You know,
I'm not used to the humidity.
I think I was going to be safe, but then to the point of sweating it out, I think I didn't work out, so I didn't sweat it out. And then on Tuesday night, I never do this, but late at night with my buddy to HEB, and then I ate a big ho-ho. I ate like 3 ho-hos.
Oh.
And then it was that night I got sick. So I could only think my body was like pulling through, and I slammed it with just factory processed, just the
at
worst
its finest
artificial stuff. And then my body, that's when that was like the straw that broke the camel's back.
Sounds awesome. Right. The ho-hos did it. Very cool. Well, awesome. Well, Stephen, let's wanted to talk just a little bit about GoGoPool just as a whole. I know there's a lot of different elements to what y'all do with GoGoPool from a like liquid staking perspective. You have you offer validation at without having to have quite as much AVAX, that kind of thing. But let's go and start off with just GoGoPool as a whole. Do you want to talk about kind of like how the company was formed, like what the vision behind GoGoPool is, and then we can kind of dig into some of the details?
Yeah, for sure. So I'll start at the beginning. First came the dinosaurs, and then just my attempt at a shitty joke. I like to pull that one out sometimes.
No, it's okay.
But no, so my background is in open source and applied math. And then I've been doing startups for about 8 years now. My first 3.5 years was my first startup. We were bootstrapping a just hardcore Web 2 enterprise SaaS product. It's like, how do you sell these big, beefy enterprise systems to we were targeting the top 100 staffing firms in the world. So bootstrapping that for 3.5 years, that's when I really evolved from being just a developer to being like, okay, you're in charge of growth, sales, learned how to grow and scale sales teams or BD teams. Then COVID came. We lost 80% of our revenue in a week. We're like, all right, this is a phenomenal experience. Built the business back up over the next 6 months, paused it, and then we started looking at, all right, how do we get back to our roots here? So then during COVID, that's how I actually got introduced to my now co-founder, and then how I really got into crypto, which was I was designing out this next version of an AI startup, which was building on ChatGPT 2, actually, because we thought, like, all right, this thing is going to fucking go like this. Totally exponential. But we were building cool content creator tools and want to create new business models. So we want to implement a blockchain into this product. So now this blockchain can have this shared economy. Any fan base or super fans of a content creator can get paid for the impactful content that they create for their favorite, for like, we were talking Twitch streamers. So for, XQC or something. And that's when I started doing a colonoscopy of all the infra choices, and that's how I found Subnets and Avalanche. Whereas very much from the code level up, it was like, okay, there's Polkadot, early version of L2s, and then there's the Cosmos approach, and then we saw Subnets. We're like, oh, this is actually the most pragmatic thing. Like, this thing can scale. And Subnets are just app chains. It's a blockchain that somebody can add or integrate into their business, and then now it can be a private or public blockchain, and it powers a lot of DeFi and a lot of cool stuff. Where actually the Avalanche, as we know it, was just the first subnet. It's a proof of concept they put out called the C chain. That's where all the trading activity happens. That's where NFTs are. That's where meme coins are. But that was really just a test, and then that whole thing took off, and now we have AVAX as we know it. But it was sort of like a weird, confusing time, even for me, where I was like, wait, I thought Subnets was the big thing. Why are all these prices and all this? That's how we'll start going down the rabbit hole of like, wait, what is crypto? Oh, shit. Like I always knew about crypto, and I was living vicariously through one of my buddies who, for the first generation of meme coin launches, which is like those early ICOs, like Litecoin and all their variants. So I'd always been involved. So I got it, but that's when I saw like it was in my face. I was like, oh shit. Plus then the ideology, and then that's how I met my co-founder. My co-founder was working on a open source, very, very technical substrate for the Subnet stack to make it more usable. So I met him. We ended up going like last minute to the AVAX conference. This was the Avalanche Summit #1. I think that was 2 years ago or 2.5 years ago. We met up. We're like, oh shit. That's when we realized we had this shared common vision of this broad concept of a crypto asset. Right now market cap of crypto assets is 2.8 trillion. So it's just a massive market, and it's already, the markets, if you look at the numbers, already bounced back. So we're hitting the crypto all-time highs for how big crypto is since 2021. There's a nice big dip, and now it's back up. So that thing is just going to keep going. And it's like, cat's out of the bag. But we saw there were these common pain points for all crypto assets, which was thin regulatory cover, value leakage, because you got to pay gas fees, like at the Apple protocol layer. Like, fun factoid, Uniswap this year has paid $240 million in gas fees.
Wow.
So that's $240 million that isn't going back to the Uni token or the Uni protocol. Like, pretty fucking insane. And the trade-off, though, is that they're on ETH-L1, they have liquidity, they can interoperate, like whatever. But at a certain level, you're like, yo, like what if I owned the entire stack? What if I could accrue all those fees? Like, that's a lot of dough. And then third thing is just that we saw there's huge trade-offs to launch an asset and to create a success in crypto, so highly crypto specific. And we can get into exactly why, but it's like, even for me, when we were launching GoGoPool, it's like, why am I suddenly negotiating against market makers and centralized exchanges to just make my protocol usable? Just to have enough liquidity so that people can come in and play with my protocol. Like, it was really, really strange. And we have this idea that, well, if you do it right, having your own permissionless L1, like owning your own L1, solves all these problems.
Yep.
And now that's why, like with Avalanche, we're so excited. That's why we've been in the ecosystem for so long. There's another this vision of like, yeah, there's going to be a new way of doing business in the world. And it's going to be putting a piece of a business on a blockchain and having that blockchain be your own L1, because it's the cheapest way to have a crypto asset on a chain and then have the most amount of regulatory cover, the least amount of value leakage, or rather the most amount of value accrual, and then you can customize it exactly to what your business needs. And so under that vision and kind of that story, that's how we started GoGoPool. We're like, all right, subnets are really good. This is like the only tech stack, really genuinely, the subnets are the only tech stack that can appropriately solve this problem. But there's this enshrined restaking built into Avalanche, which is you need to stake 2,000 AVAX to then be able to have a subnet or be able to validate for a subnet. And that's why we raised some money, raised some VC funds, and then we started GoGoPool, which is like V1 of this problem that we're solving. But GoGoPool is a liquid staking protocol that gathers up for people that, they don't have 2,000 AVAX, they can now liquid stake. So I put my AVAX into a smart contract, get back a token from it, or this liquid staking token, which represents the yield of the AVAX stake. But I can also do any amount of the LSD. So I can just do one AVAX until I get it staked, and then be able to swap out whenever I want. And then we match up that pool of funds with people with hardware who don't have 2,000 AVAX, but they stake our token, GGP token, and they stake 1,000 AVAX. So when you stake GGP and 1,000 AVAX, you get matched up with this pool of liquid staking funds. And so we're the only liquid staking protocol on Avalanche that every piece of stake put into our protocol ends up with creating a brand new validator node, strengthening the network that can now also be used to bootstrap new subnets. And at this point, I think we're running about 20% of all the validators on Avalanche. There's 350 or 360 validators that we're running, and we're returning all fees back to the, like we take no fees. So all revenue or all the AVAX staking yield is accrued back to the tokens.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, and and I think it offers a lot of good benefits, like you were talking about. I want to kind of dig into that liquid staking part just a little bit more. So, full disclosure, I do own some GGP or ggAVAX, and so I've done it as well. And I do find what's up? Yeah, awesome,
my man.
He's a
so,
DJ.
yeah, but and it definitely does offer a lot of benefits for doing that. I think one of them is, I mean, you don't have that minimum of 25, so I think that part is good. You can add to it as much as you want, as often as you want, but also you're not having to choose how long you want to stake for, which is one of the things that when I was delegating, like the traditional way to do that, you have to choose the time period depending on how long the validator, their cycle is. That kind of affects it as well. But would love for you to kind of just maybe talk a little bit more about that liquid staking process. Just if let's say I'm a new investor, I'm somebody that wants to, earn some yield on my AVAX that I'm planning to hold anyway. What does ggAVAX do for me that maybe other alternatives wouldn't?
Yeah, so ggAVAX is a liquid staking token. So there's only one other LST right now on AVAX, so that's the SAVAX token. So that's sort of the comp here. And then the other way you can stake AVAX and earn AVAX yield is by, like what you're saying, just delegate or go through the normal process without the smart contract. So what our token does uniquely is, one, we take 0% fees from this. So the full amount of AVAX staking rewards is passed back to stakers. That's more of a philosophical choice for us, which is, look, this thing needs to be self-reinforcing, and every bit of AVAX stake is strengthening the AVAX network. So long term, it becomes a beautiful flywheel where the more stake that we have, the stronger the network is, and there's no incentive for us to be a middleman and extract value out of it. And then the second thing that we do with this is similar to the theme of strengthening the AVAX network, that every bit of AVAX stake that comes to us improves the stake weight power, but essentially we're able to do good MEV, which specifically is ARBs between centralized exchanges and DEXs. So it balances out prices. So if you think of buying AVAX right now, if you just Google, like, where can I buy AVAX? There's going to be 500 different places to buy it, and all of them are different prices.
Yep.
So for a non-savvy crypto user who's just trying to onboard and buy some AVAX, it's like, you don't know if you're buying at a $38 price when somewhere else it's $32. Mm-hmm. So you can just get wrecked just because you didn't spend the 20 minutes of research to do some digging. So then this is what we do for front running or back running with MEV, where as these prices get out of balance, then we use the stake weight to be able to buy low, sell high, essentially capture that arbitrage difference. And that way it creates neutral prices for everybody. It creates, fetches the lowest price for the user. And with the added externality is that by competing on strictly back running, so strictly on the bouncing side, we make bad MEV much more expensive to accomplish. So we've been seeing that sandwiching attacks are going down on Avalanche by quite a lot on the strategies that we help run. And third benefit is that we pass all of the revenue of that arbitrage back into the ggAVAX token. So that means if you're just holding the AVAX token, I think right now the typical AVAX staking yield is like 6.39%. And then for us right now, we're yielding 6.88%. And depending on chain activity, that goes higher. So I know we're cracking like 7.2, 7.3% in Q1 and Q4, just because we're passing everything back to the ggAVAX token.
I love how you look like you're looking at like 4 different screens, dude.
Yeah. Well, it was a dashboard, so there is I'll send you guys a link too, just because it's interesting.
No, that's awesome. Pretty cool. So when it comes down to like launching a validator and say mini pools, what's that process look like in setting up one? You had mentioned, of course, liquid staking, and then having somebody who's actually doing like the hardware side of it. How does it work on both sides of, what does that process look like in terms of if somebody wants to set up their own validator, and does somebody also need to have the hardware, or is that somebody else that you guys just kind of link up?
Yeah. So on the hardware side, what it looks like is somebody goes to the web page, they stake 1,000 AVAX, and they stake 10% of that at least in value with GGP tokens. So that's another 100 AVAX worth of GGP tokens. And then you also pass in a node ID. Node ID is just what is tied to your hardware, tied to the validator node, how you identify it. And then you click a button, and then it goes through our queuing process to get matched up on the other side to match up another 1,000 AVAX, and then everything is sent to the P chain and staked. Because you're staking AVAX and GGP tokens, you earn every single month in AVAX and GGP tokens. And the more GGP that you stake, the more you earn every single month. So that's the basic tokenomic flywheel for a hardware operator. And APIs are quite good for them still right now, because it ends up, what we've seen, and you can just like check the price chart, but you can see how like as more people come into the protocol, that creates more buy pressure or buying demand on GGP token, and people stake it to earn the monthly rewards. And so you like, as more people join, the less amount of GGP tokens each person earns, but the dollar amount has gone up quite significantly because there's more people coming in. So then it's like a nice positive flywheel action. And also the mini pool community is just the most diamond hands community I've ever seen in crypto. Like they fucking get the game. You know what I mean? Like everyone is here to be able to validate for subnets and actually help bootstrap and decentralize these subnets that are popping up, or decentralize these new L1s. And so we're doing a lot of work. I would say about, at least for me, my time personally, I probably spend 95% of my time on the subnet side of things, of how to create a marketplace for these subnets, connect them to the validator nodes, and how to make this all be as permissionless as we can.
Sweet.
Which, that's probably a good segue to Coqnet whenever you guys want to, but that's exactly where the Coqnet lies in there.
I like how you said that's where the Coqnet lies, meaning that it already exists.
Actually, I think it does. Let's check out the indexers.
It's that hacking keyboard, I can tell.
Yeah, I'm telling you, this is my gaming setup. I just haven't been playing video games very much recently, but I actually don't know where to find the best index of all subnets. Oh, the AVAX Explorer probably has it. Let's see if it's on there. But I know it's either has gone live or is going live on testnet, and we're testing out was quite a lot actually. So we're sort of overachieving now. And instead of just launching the Coqnet by itself, which would be actually rather boring, we're bundling it with a lot of other cool, interesting updates and interesting UIs built up around it. So the core thing we're focused on right now is to make the UX for bridging Coq tokens over to the Coqnet as beautifully one-click as possible.
Nice.
And for that, we're working very, very closely with the Ava team around the AWM with the teleporter primitives, which is like this built-in bridge that's built into the Avalanche network. It lets any subnet talk to each other. But that came out in like March, I think. March or April, it started becoming usable. So we've been building on top of that SDK, and it's going through audits, and we're fixing things as audits, stuff gets found in the audits. But that one I'm really excited by, because then once we nail this, then now Coqnet can get connected to any subnet that pops up. For example, the Shrapnel subnet, Gunzilla subnet, Dexlot subnet is probably the most immediately useful, where people can then bridge the liquidity over to any of these subnets, play their games, do whatever, and then come back to the Coqnet and be able to have that be their home base. So that's what I'm really excited by.
Dude, that's awesome. And so anybody who doesn't actually have, like, say, 1,000 AVAX laying around, you guys also kind of help make like fractionalization also a thing, correct?
Yeah, you guys have done your homework. So this isn't something we've really aggressively advertised yet, although arguably we should. But yeah, so if you want to get a slice of the GGP action and you want to be able to help bootstrap these new validator nodes, then we're worked with a team called CFI, who they have released a GGP vault, so single side staking. So I have GGP tokens, I stake it under the hood through smart contracts that gets put onto mini pools, or it runs mini pool to validator nodes through the protocol. and then you earn GGP yield on that. I think the yield right now is 20% APY.
Nice.
So if
That's awesome.
you can stake GGP tokens permissionlessly now without needing to have 1,000 AVAX and running the hardware. So it's pretty fucking good.
Right. And so is there a difference like with the mini pools? Like what exactly is a mini pool?
A mini pool is what we call internally. That is like the product, where when you create a validator node through us, that launches a mini pool. We call it a mini pool because it's combining the funds, like this little pool of funds. It's 1,000 AVAX from the hardware operator, and then a collected mixed bag of 1,000 AVAX from the liquid staking tokens. Those two get mashed up to put onto one validator node, and that's what we call a mini pool.
Nice. And I know we're throwing a lot of acronyms out there, a lot of different words, high tech stuff. I tend to be like the layman guy, but how much technical knowledge do you generally have to have to basically do liquid staking, do a mini pool validator, or maybe even like a hardware validator, if that makes sense?
So on liquid staking, it's one click, it's a one button. You're just putting in, or you're staking some AVAX and you get back that ggAVAX liquid staking token. If you're running a hardware, it used to be much more technical. You need to have like your own piece of hardware, hook it up, do everything. I think in November, we shipped an update where now that is also literally one click. All you have to do is deposit it in AVAX, and then under the hood, it'll convert some of that AVAX to GGP tokens, and it'll automatically provision hardware for you. And it does everything all in one transaction. And that's really when I think for us, we started seeing a lot of growth on GoGoPool and a lot more excitement, where it's like, oh, fuck, I can just click a button and boom, I'm now validating the AVAX network. And there's a real piece of hardware somewhere in the world that is doing all the gnarly validation work. But now for a user, like I don't need to be a developer anymore to do this stuff.
Right. And I think that's that cool part, man, is that it's the on-ramping, right? And I know this tends to be a little bit more like behind the scenes, like we're so early still that this is still this whole process of building this network. So it's really cool to kind of like, I don't know if you guys ever watch like How It's Made. It's kind of an old school show. No, it was I want to say it was like on Discovery Channel or History Channel, but they would actually go and they would show you how toothpicks were made, or those little umbrella toothpicks even. I mean, anyway, it's kind of like the same thing. It's hard to show the visual part of it, but it's definitely pretty cool to see how you guys are making these things work. It just reminds me of that show. I'm a visual guy.
No, absolutely. There's a lot of hidden complexity. So we got it down to a one-click experience to launch a validator node and have it be validating. But yeah, it was definitely maybe 2 or 3 months of hardcore engineering and design choices. Like, okay, how do we do this? So it's secure. It's secure. It's easy to use. It looks appealing. And really, like the UX is good. Like crafting a good product is definitely.
I mean, you guys are pioneers, dude. So to see you guys actually doing it is pretty impressive for sure.
And we're pretty pumped. So all the infrastructure and the groundwork that we've laid so far directly applies to Coqnet. So the Coqnet experience, you can expect it's going to be similarly like one click button, boom, you're now validating with a real piece of hardware, validating the Coqnet. Like it's going to be fucking sick.
That's awesome.
We're gonna ask you more questions about the Coqnet because obviously I'm not wearing this shirt for no reason, and of course we're all probably some cock holders. We all like holding some cock. I like how my boys are just walking around looking at me.
Every time I tweet, there's at least 2 or 3 replies. Like, when Coqnet? Where's Coqnet? Or asking a question about the Coqnet. Definitely.
100%.
We should definitely get into it.
Yeah, no, we're all really excited about the Coqnet for sure. I think one of the things that probably influences the way that you're all able to deploy that. I know currently you need to have a full AVAX validator in order to be able to validate a subnet as well. But I think that's all going to be changing with some new proposals that are coming out. Do you want to talk just a little about maybe, if you can, some of what you expect to be like, what do you need to even be able to do to validate any subnet, which would include obviously the Coqnet?
So today the way it works is you need to stake 2,000 AVAX, and then now you can stake Coq and validate the subnet. With what we're building right now for the Coqnet is a little validator marketplace that's built around this. And it completely removes the need to stake 2000 AVAX. So for anybody, they're able to just click a button and boom, I'm validating the Coqnet. Like that's going to be the user experience. You don't need to have 2000 AVAX anymore. I think that's going to be very, very huge.
That is huge.
And then that's immediately. So that's going to be rolling out in the V1. And then in for the future of Avalanche, what I think you're referring to is this. Avalanche is currently going through a massive 2.0 moment. This is like as big as the merge. Honestly, I don't talk about it enough on Twitter. I should really, I probably spend a little bit too much time heads down and like building shit.
Is that the ACP 77?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
ACP 77. It's a big boy.
I was actually listening to it. I think they released it. Is it the blockchain news guys? And all the Avalanche guys were on there.
Yeah.
I'm glad you say AVAX because I say AVAX. They say AVAX. It's Target, kind of the same thing. But they were all saying AVAX. It's like, it reminds me of like Voss Water, right? We should have a sponsor like Voss Water. But anyway, it was pretty impressive. A lot of it, obviously, these guys are super intelligent guys. A lot of it was over my head for sure. But the takeaway was pretty impressive. I don't want to get too technical because it might even be over my head. But I think the point of just making it more simplified and organized and faster and cheaper just seems pretty impressive on what it's doing.
Launching a subnet or launching, even more broadly, launching an L1 is now 5 times cheaper than launching a rollup. That's huge. All of crypto right now, the dominant method is launching rollups.
Yeah,
right.
So you can imagine, all right, this thing is now 5 times cheaper. It's getting even cheaper, even faster. I don't know if you guys follow Patrick Grady, but he's a great follow on Twitter. Just to feel impressed of like, holy shit, I am so stupid. You get to like his tweets and the stuff that he's working on. Like even for me, I did a live stream where I spent 3 hours digging in really deep on VRIX, which is a way to do really, really high throughput blockchains. But going through his research on that and going through some of his GitHubs on it, it's like, dude, this is fucking solid work. And this is stuff that's going to come out probably like Q1 or Q2. So it's stacked. It's like first ACP 77, which is now 5x cheaper than a rollup to launch a blockchain. And then there's still all these things. There's VRIX and Firewood are the 2 really big things. And then I know there's a third and a fourth one. But these releases are being stacked. So as those firm up, then those are going to get deployed in Q1, Q2 of next year. And then suddenly, like, you're already 5x cheaper than every rollup. Now you're going to be like 10,000 times faster as well.
Right.
Like, it's going to be fucking insane. And then at the same time, through ACP 77, which does a few things, but one of them being drops the cost of validating a subnet, which is huge. So now, like, where for us, we have to take a bunch of extra time to figure out, okay, you want to validate the Coqnet in, before this update goes live. So that means, all right, well, you technically need 2000 AVAX, but we're doing a lot of work under the hood to remove that requirement from users. So now you can just stake Coq. Versus after ACP 77, it would take us like a week to just boom, because you don't need to stake 2000 AVAX anymore after ACP 77 to validate a subnet. Now we're going to swap, what we're going to do, we're just going to swap off the backends. It's going to greatly simplify the systems. It's great.
Nice.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And by the way, real quick, so I think I've heard Emin say AVAX, so I'm going to go with the founder and CEO says AVAX, so yeah. AVAX is the right way to say it as far as I'm concerned. All the AVAX people, they're making up a way of saying it to sound fancy.
So, it definitely sounds fancy.
But want to kind of dig into the subnets a little bit more as well. So just in terms of kind of what's possible within them, and we can use the Coqnet as an example, or some of the others like Shrapnel and that kind of thing. But obviously, it gives the owner of it a certain amount of control over certain things if they need to. But kind of why are subnets, and as an example, the Coqnet a good thing for users?
I think users are going to start feeling and seeing crypto experiences that cost drastically less gas to play with and drastically better UXs. Meaning, instead of needing to have a MetaMask and then I plug in a ledger and then, oh, that didn't work. Oh, right, because I'm on Brave. All right, switch to Safari, try again. Wait, fuck. Okay, all my shit's in Chrome. All right, go to Chrome. You know what I mean? Instead of playing that, oh, wrong laptop. Go to my other laptop. You know what I mean? Instead of playing the dance of, all I want to do is like stake some cock. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
I think with all of ACP 77 and this whole trend that we're in as an ecosystem, what you're going to end up seeing is highly specific, highly customized user experiences. And like tangibly, what I'm excited about, working with a lot of teams around this, is to enshrine really cool features directly into the blockchain. So now there doesn't have to be a MetaMask. Now it can just be log in with Google, just like anywhere else on the internet, right? You can just log in with Google account, right? Sign in with Google, sign in with Apple, whatever. A lot of cool privacy preserving stuff. Now that feature can get put directly into the blockchain, where right now it's like, all right, I got to work with something that's also compatible with MetaMask, but there's also like 50 different wallets people use. So I guess now I need to like work out all the bugs and the kinks to get to work with all wallets. That's the developer experience for us. Even for us, we have trouble with it. Fucking sucks. Versus if we're able to put everything on our own blockchain, then now I get to just straight up say, look, we don't need MetaMask or anything. Just click this button, sign with Google, and then boom, a wallet's created for you with a nice, easy bridging interface for you. So I can just move funds over to the subnet, or even moving the funds will happen automatically as part of the registration flow. So for user, it's really going to feel like click, 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 click. And on the back end, there's 4 different subnets that are powering whatever logic that was happening. But the user, I'm just scrolling through Twitter. I'm clicking on things. I'm having fun. Signing a transaction here, auto approve that thing over there. Like, it's gonna be great, and it's gonna cost it's gonna cost fractions of pennies, because everyone's gonna optimize to make a really nice gas UX.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I think I'm a big user experience guy. Like, I feel like the more simple that you can make things for somebody to use, the more likely they are to use it. I know back when we all onboarded to crypto, like the whole idea of writing down a seed phrase, keeping it in a safe place.
Exactly.
Like all
I
of
was just about to get dude, it's going to get so much simpler, which then increases the security of everything drastically. Much harder to get hacked if you don't have like a ledger here with your seed phrase there and your bank account over there, and sticky pad to remember what your MetaMask master password was. You know what I mean? Like, if you can simplify all of that, much harder to get hacked. The other thing that I think matters to end users here is I think you're going to see a lot more serious tokens. A lot more multi-cycle tokens. A lot more tokens that are probably good buys because one, you need to use it anyway, so there's utility behind it. But then there'll be good holds as well over a 4, 8, 10-year period of time. So it can last multiple cycles, not just like, I feel like right now a lot of DeFi coins, a lot of NFTs are like a 2-month hold maybe.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then how they bounce back. It's like, I don't know if I haven't seen any NFT collection bounce back. I've seen every single NFT that I've seen has done that. That's it. And then the community's mad and they're, it's like, dude, like, stop buying NFTs. How about that? Right? Like, it's fucking stupid. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to trade and make money, then buy meme coins. At least those go like this. Right. And then if they're good, they do this, but upwards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But with the whole point of having your own chain as well is that any spot where your token can accrue value, it will. And any spot that your token needs to leak value, it won't. Because now you have your own ecosystem. They can stuff everything into it. That's why I'm excited for the Coqnet as well. Is that as the Coq is being used, as being bridged out to all these other subnets, like Coqnet will be its own home base. And suddenly you don't need to leak. Like, you think of even just on the LP today, or like how you buy and sell Coq on Trader Joe, like, there's a lot of LP fees that no one can access anymore because it's just locked. I forget the number was, but it's over 1,000 AVAX. Like, all that AVAX could have gone back right into the Coq token,
Wow.
Which you can't. And then all the AVAX that you spent as an AVAX gas fee to buy and sell Coq or to stake Coq, like, all those cumulatively, all that gas fees that have been spent could have gone to the Coq token, but it's not. But with the Coqnet, if you build the right stuff around it, if you do it the right way, all those fees can go right back to the Coq token. So it'll truly be this decentralized, permissionless piece of software that's just in the internet. And then it can accrue value to this token, which now people can do stuff with.
Yeah. Dude, I was actually listening to when you were on the podcast. I want to say it was probably January. And you were definitely talking about that process of subnets and, the design, the process, right? The design, the launching. Did you say restrapping? I listened to it like 6 times. And I was like,
Restaking, bootstrapping.
Maybe it was restaking. I was trying to, dude. I listened to it like a full blast. I couldn't understand the word that you said because I was taking notes, and I think that's when you just started to get me really bullish, of course, on the Coqnet, and of course we are in general. But I think it's pretty fascinating. It's beyond the meme coin, right? It's going, and I'm putting myself ahead of time because I think I just want to start talking more about Coqnet because that's where it always leads us to. But when you start talking about fractions of a cent on transaction fees, you remind me. Have you ever watched the movie Office Space?
No, I actually haven't.
You're a young buck, dude.
It's a good one.
I know it's been circling around. No, I was The Office baby. I watched The Office.
Yeah, it's the Initech, right? And they're trying to basically, in a nutshell, they're trying to find a way of taking a fractions of a cent and put it in a separate bank account. And but anyway, when you mentioned that, it reminds me of that, and it was like an idea off of like Superman 3 or something. But but when it comes down to like the sustainability of GoGoPool and how you guys make money, like how do you guys make money? Are you guys is it part of the volume? Is it how exactly do you guys how basically how are you guys sustaining yourselves?
So I tell this to everybody that we work with is that I want there to be no confusion at all. What we're doing is trying to build a rocket ship. We're absolutely a VC bet. So we have raised $7 million from VCs, and the vision that we're going after is this $2.8 trillion crypto asset market. And we think that the majority of those dollars should be living on a permissionless blockchain. And how we will make money is as more L1s get adopted and they need to start decentralizing, GoGoPool is going to be that base primitive that actually powers the decentralization of all these L1s. So how we sustain ourselves is quite frankly through pop of VC right now. Because we're definitely, and there's going to be a lot more announcements around this soon, but we're definitely going for home runs here.
Let's talk about the Coqnet. Definitely
let's do it.
You've mentioned quite a bit about some of the things that are going to be possible. Kind of what is would you say is like your overall vision for what the Coqnet will be when it's out there?
I think it's going to become my vision for this, and this is a community vision too. Like this is just why I got excited and I reached out to Wojak and then got to know them and Gribbly, and you know what I mean. But I think we're all aligned that we all think Coqnet will become the soul and cultural epicenter of the Avalanche network, not just the C chain, but of every single subnet that launches. Because Coqnet will be able to interoperate with all of them and become a fundamental building block and have interesting, cool apps that get incubated onto the Coqnet that then spin out to their own subnet that's connected back to the Coqnet. I think the experience that's going to end up happening is I have a bunch of Coq, I registered the Coqnet, I swap it out to whatever token game, maybe I swap it out for Shrap tokens. I go over and play Shrap, and I come back, I swap back for Coq. And then now hopefully, I have more Coq than I started with, depending on what you do, whatever. But I think from there, plus layer on the whole community, like the technicals and the product of it, I think that's what Coqnet's going to become. But then the community around it, I think is going to keep growing, where just as the Coq community keeps growing, as crypto keeps going like this, as AVAX keeps going like this, I think the Coqnet is going to be quite frankly, the welcome mat. We're working right now with the Botcast, and there are a lot of teams that want to meet the Coq community and they want to launch something or do something with the Coq community that lives on the Coqnet. I think last time I checked was about a week and a half ago when I was getting a progress update on it. But there are 15 teams that are in queue right now who want to be on the Botcast, talk about what they're doing. They have some sort of promo they want to do. They have some sort of new interesting proof of concept or alpha prototype that they want to share. And it's like, okay, well, there's 70,000 Coq token holders right now. Let them have at it. Put it on the Coqnet, let them bridge over, let them play with it. And I think that's just going to be the first start. It's the first kernel of all of this.
That's the start, the little seed that was planted, right?
Yeah, as I saw Luigi tweeted this yesterday, but seeds planted now be harvested in the fall.
Yeah, Luigi, that's where I got it from. I'm stealing it from Luigi right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
He definitely said that yesterday.
Yeah. And I think one fun thing we're doing with the Coqnet is the gas token will be a megacoq. It's denominated in megacoq units.
Interesting.
Nice.
So
So it's almost
how
like a
many cock
Bitcoin-
equals a megacock?
Yeah.
I think it's a million. 1 million coq tokens is equal to 1 megacoq, and the base unit because like when you have a fraction of a cent, but then you're like signing a transaction on MetaMask, it looked really stupid to spend like 0.0005 coq tokens. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's like this like little teeny tiny thing. So instead we're bundling it up so it looks nicer, but we're excited for people to blow the load on spending megacox all around the Coqnet. And that'll be listed on every single Explorer too.
Nice.
Like
Dude, that's
megacoq
awesome,
spend.
man. So is it going to take a certain amount of megacoq to do a validator on GoGoPool?
So megacoq, how many units of megacoq will it take to run a validator node is the question. Yeah, you definitely need a certain amount of megacoq to run a validator node. That's for sure.
Any idea how
what should
much?
we call that? What should we call a validator node? If you need like, I don't even know. If you let's call it like 100 megacoqs. Should we call it a gigacoq? You're staking 1 gigacoq.
Yeah, gigacock sounds good.
Megacoq.
Yeah.
So you say gigachads. I call them mother brains. That's a little old school Metroid gaming thing. Yeah, one of the two, right? Megacoq, mothercock.
Megacoq is for the gas. A gigacoq can be for the validator nodes, and then the rewards. We'll need to have some unit to denominate the rewards. You know who's really good at this is Wojak.
Oh yeah.
And
Wojak's a fucking he's I call him the mother brain. Him and Gribbly, they're both mother brains, dude. And if you ever, I'll have to send you a photo of what mother brain actually looks like. But it's it's my term. It's an old school '80s term from an old cartoon. But anyway, they're geniuses, dude. And Wojak is pretty, dude. He's a cool dude, man.
Yeah,
He reminds me of a childhood friend that Luke and I had back in the day. It's really cool talking to him.
Nice. Yeah, he's a good guy. He's definitely. I think if Coq happened with any other sort of like genesis, I think the community would be so different. But I'm so glad it was them because they're just both like seriously just stand up people.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Like definitely seeded the soul for the community in a certain way.
he beat me in a game of cornhole, dude, with a phenomenal throw. I don't know if you listened to that podcast at all with Clint. Actually, Clint was my partner, and and Wojak just threw this. It was like we had busted twice, and Wojak had one throw to get to 21, and so he threw it. It hit. It jumped over all the bags and in the hole, and then I had the last throw. I totally choked, dude. I choked. Wojak intimidated me, and the game was over. But and that, not to mention his dice throw. But anyway, that's another story. He threw 6 threes with just a roll of the dice, and it was like one in 46,000 chances. And he, I mean, it just, I don't know. And maybe I'm putting him on a pedestal, but he's pretty fucking cool, man. Pretty magical for sure.
No, the whole lore is awesome. I love how deep it goes. I love how deep the lore goes.
Right?
It's hilarious. Clint was explaining it to me on one podcast, and I was like, "Oh shit, this goes back to like early 2021."
Yeah. So just to talk just a little more about the Coqnet itself. So like how will, like you mentioned MetaMask earlier. So it's something that, you know, folks don't need like a special wallet or anything like that. Like you don't necessarily need to download Core, which I think for some of the other subnets, I think you do. Like I never see like the Shrapnel net unless I'm using Core for that. Are folks able to use it with just like a Ravi wallet, MetaMask, anything like that? Or
yeah, we're compatible with every wallet. Oh yeah,
awesome, very cool, good deal. And I think the big question is when mainnet.
One mainnet. Well, let's see how these audits go. I think that's what we're all focused on right now. Yeah, these bridging audits or the AWM audits. And then we'll definitely do something around testnet first before mainnet to get feedback on the UX and have people try it out and have fun with it. And then mainnet sooner than we think.
All right.
Nice.
I love it.
Nice, dude.
Very cool. Good deal. Well, just to kind of take it back to GoGoPool as a whole. I know we're definitely excited about what y'all are doing with the subnets, with the Coqnet in particular. Kind of you mentioned kind of you're kind of swinging for the fences with like the protocol as a whole. Like what do you kind of see GoGoPool going over the next several years? Like what do you see the direction of the company, the things y'all will work on, that kind of thing?
I think we're going to see thousands of subnets, like easily, maybe even tens of thousands of subnets will be popped up. I think GoGoPool will be central to all of them, powering the staking for all of them. So we should see a drastically increased amount of validator nodes. I think that is to be expected. And post ACP 77, there's going to be some very large, like ACP 77 creates a brand new canvas. It's a totally new design space for new and interesting utilities to solve these pain points that subnets have and solve pain points that stakers have. So that's what I'm really excited about. And it always feels weird talking about like the end state of GoGoPool, because to me it's like, we don't get there unless we nail this day, like this fucking hour right now. It's hand-to-hand combat every single day. So that's really what energizes me, is like working with people like yourselves, working with the community, helping all these subnets figure out. There's also like something spiritual about it too. Like, I really think that the world really does need blockchain technology to mature very quickly, because what we saw was 2008. You get Facebook, Tinder, like fucking all these marquee apps like Twitter. All these apps have like started off magical, like they're all free, and we're like, oh shit, this is fucking great. And then time goes on, and you're like, wait, you did what with my data? Wait, why is the Trump campaign targeting me with oddly specific advertisements? You know what I mean? Like, wait, what the fuck's happening? You know what I mean? And then I don't know, this is wild to me. I haven't used Tinder since high school, but my buddy like was showing me just like, he's just like flipping through, like showing his thing. And it's like, dude, it is so extractive now. Like, I kid you not, in like the 5 minutes he was showing me, he probably saw 15 different call to actions, like pop-ups or ads or getting locked out of something, or tempting him to spend an extra dollar here, like a microtransaction there. Like, it's fucking insane. It's gross. It's like, what the fuck is this? And you're like, you put up with this? Like, what do you think they're doing? Like, and he's like, oh yeah, like, I don't know, I guess like, all the apps are like this. It's like, Jesus, dude. Oh my God.
It's pretty crazy, man. It's pretty crazy to see even like my kids, like they're just getting random like surveys. Anyway, that's a whole different rabbit hole. But it's pretty crazy on how we can't control our data.
Big
or have the option to sell my data. Maybe I want to sell it, but I want to keep it, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's just no choice in it. And it's just all owned by centralized computers, essentially. And it's getting even crazier now, because now you have ChatGPT. I've been calling it for, as soon as ChatGPT came out, I was like, okay, this is going to be magical for the first year. And then slowly we're going to start hearing some weird stories about what's going on. Yeah. And then we also hear Sam Altman, the founder, talking about raising $7 trillion from VC and from Saudis or sovereign networks or sovereign wealth funds to like build out ChatGPT on a massive scale, like a global scale. It's like, oh my God, history's repeating itself. Like, this is really not good. And the only Hail Mary that we have, just as humanity gets to the internet civilization, the only Hail Mary is that we figure out how to use blockchains, because they seem to be the only alternative to having closed systems. Instead of having a closed system that owns everyone's data and there's one entity controlling that closed system, they can do whatever they want, and you're just kind of trusting that they'll be good little boys and not want to make a bunch of extra money and make their stock prices go up. It's like, okay, that's not their incentive. They're definitely going to make they're going to make the money. Right. Especially on a 10-year time frame. Oh yeah, they're going to make the money. That's the choice that they're going to choose. But instead of that, like the only alternative is, okay, we have a closed system. Blockchains are open systems. Yep. So can you integrate a blockchain into a business? That's what I'm obsessed about. It's like, can we integrate? Like, we just talked to like 2 different teams today. But they're designing out like, okay, I'm going to have a token that does this, and it's going to be very interesting, and it's going to help me compete against big, fat, closed systems like LinkedIn, for example. It's like LinkedIn, the definition of an extractive platform. Like started off magical. It was great. They growth hacked their way to multi-billion dollars, and then now they're just sitting on all that data, and they're just selling it, monetizing, and users get nothing out of it. They get a shitty social media out of it. Right. And then you look at things like Farcaster. Like, okay, this is novel. This is cool. LinkedIn closed off all their APIs and they aggressively sue people who try to like scrape data or like try to do stuff with LinkedIn. Versus Farcaster's like, no, we're going to put the core parts on a blockchain. So now there's an immutable guarantee that these APIs can't close. And there's a token that accrues the value. So it doesn't need to be that I need to make revenue anymore. The token just needs to go up. And that's the way the company finances. That's why when they did the big round, they raised like 100 million, 150 from in Q1. Like that, they sold tokens. They're not selling that off of like revenue they're creating, right? So they're like, no, token will go up because here's how the economies work. We're going to accrue all the value of the tokens. The whole network will expand. And then the end result is the average user, they're now going to have a more transparent, fair, cheaper system. That, who knows, if you buy the token early or if you get into it or whatever, then that token value can also go up. So now you can make genuine money off of this as well. And while you can use it as a utility for the blockchain. So that's what I'm really almost ideologically obsessed with. Which is like, dude, the world, like history's repeating itself right now with ChatGPT. No bueno. We got to figure out this open blockchain business, and subnets are the only piece of technical infrastructure that can actually do that. Everyone else is fucking around with like L2s and L3s and L4s. Like that's not going to solve it. Like Twitter is not going to be launching their own L2. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Steve, have you used Venice at all? Eric Voorhees' decentralized AI. That's one that I think has been pretty cool. Like they use the Morpheus protocols for it, and I feel like that's at least some light of hope that I'm not going to give OpenAI or Google or anyone else all of my.
That's the nice thing. I mean, there's always attack vectors, but that is the nice thing where there are a lot of deals. Like, what was it? It's like $7 billion of VC funds have flowed into crypto AI startups since January 1st of this year. Like, that's a lot of dough. That's a lot of cash going into one specific sector who are all trying. I mean, I think there are a lot of cash grabs happening too, like from the protocol token side, because there's lack of regulation, gray areas, like whatever. So that's definitely happening. But there are definitely some, like what Eric's working on, I think is a good first attempt on this multi-year long journey. So that's definitely like, it's good to know people are working on it. You know what I mean? Because I think under the hood, what they're betting on is this open source models will keep getting exponentially better over time, which I think is a good bet. But it's always going to lag the proprietary models, but eventually they'll catch up and like be good enough for most users. And then I think, absolutely, having I think there are a lot of logistical questions, but engineering problems. Someone will figure it out probably. Hopefully.
That's right.
For sure.
You get me so bullish on Coq too, man. Coqnet.
Oh yeah.
I'm getting excited. I've been excited. I'm just getting more excited.
Yeah.
Dude, imagine being me. I've got to like sit on this and not talk too much about it, because every time if I say a little bit too much, my engineering team is like, yo, let's figure this out. Yeah.
That's awesome. Good deal. Well, Stephen, this has been really great chatting with you. Just before we kind of close out, do you want to share just a little bit about kind of where listeners might be able to either find you, follow GoGoPool, kind of track the latest and greatest on the Coqnet and things y'all are working on there? Yeah,
for sure. So twitter.com/Stephen Gates without the vowels, STVNGTS. It's my Twitter account. And then GoGoPool with an underscore at the end, chilling underscore. Both on Twitter. I think just DM me. I think I'm definitely not shy. If I'm not tweeting, that's because or if I'm not responding, that's just because I'm in calls working. But I'm definitely not shy about just DM me if you have any questions.
Awesome. Sweet. Very cool. Well, Steve, again, thanks again for joining us. Really appreciate you being on, and hope to have you on again soon once we have the Coqnet up and running.
Oh, absolutely. I love it. Thanks for the time, you guys.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate you.
Thanks for tuning in and spending some quality time with us. We're all about bringing value, and we hope today's episode hit the mark for you. If you like what you heard, follow us wherever you get your podcast, and while you're at it, give us a rating and share some comments letting us know what you'd like us to cover in future episodes. If you know someone who'd appreciate our content as much as you do, we'd love it if you shared this podcast with them. It really means the world to us and helps get the word out. Here's to growing together and bringing you more incredible content week after week. Until next time, friends, keep chasing your potential and living your best Web3 life.